they had proceeded with the design that they thought they wanted. They'd had it quoted, and it came in $1 million over their budget.
Yeah.
And I struggle to understand why people. I'm going off a bit of a tangent here, but I struggle to understand why people don't take professional advice all the time, and that they.
Welcome to the Build Insight podcast. Real people, real insights. Step into the world of innovative construction, one conversation at a time.
Today's guest is Saxon Hall from Align Architecture. Saxon grew up around carpentry and construction sites in regional Tasmania, and today is the lead architect for Align Architecture. All right, guys, welcome back to the Build Insight podcast. We are day after Build Insight Live, and our guest today has made the trek from Tassie, coming over for the back-to-back days. We've got Saxon from Align Architecture, and we're all sitting here powered by a bit of coffee here, thanks to Bowens this morning. But Saxon, mate, thanks for joining us and hanging around. Huge effort getting over here.
Yeah, thanks.
So
it's been good to get back to Melbourne. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. I think you're the second person from Align Architecture that's joined us on the show. The difference is this time, you're the lead architect, mate.
Yeah, so you've had Mitch on the podcast previously. I don't think he's actually watched his episode yet.
I reckon he would have.
I swear, like for multiple weeks, he was just like too shaky about sitting down and watching it. But
yeah, wow.
Had
to be a bit careful about it. He made sure that everybody knew that Mitch he was running the show, but he's not an architect.
Yeah,
so it's nice to actually have one of the architects in.
So. Making sure you're saying the right things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thanks heaps for having me over. It's been a good trip. I've packed a lot of stuff in a short period of time. Went to Big Plans yesterday. Caught up with a client, and then came to the live event, which was pretty good. Congratulations on both pulling that off. It was a good turnout. And
thanks, man.
Found heaps of new building products that I've never seen in Tassie before. I was like, this is awesome.
That's great.
Let's get it happening.
Yep.
So it's been good, and caught up with a few other colleagues and Tom from V2E, and packed it all in, and I'll be back on the plane this afternoon.
Nice, mate. Well, before we go too far, do you want to tell the listeners a bit more about yourself and how your journey came about, being an architect, and where you're at with Align? Yeah,
so I grew up, I think I was saying yesterday, I grew up like on the east coast of Tassie, down near St Helens. And Dad was a carpenter, so I was exposed to carpentry and construction from a pretty young age, and, got into a housing design course in college, and then sort of was just like, wanted to do architecture, and sort of rolled straight into architecture school. I've sort of worked for like a pretty, high-end sort of architectural firm, like as I was training, and that was really good exposure. I jumped ship and went and worked for a builder for a couple of years, doing estimation and project management. Got a bit sick of that, after about 2 years, and then I'd met Luke Davies, through that sort of initial builders connection, and Mitch also, and who's now Align CEO, and he they'd sort of spoken to me about what the vision for Align Architecture actually was, and I think at that stage they knew what they wanted to do. They had still got quite a young team, but they were struggling sort of to really put the whole vision into action. So I think knowing that I'd gathered all that knowledge from working for a pretty high-end traditional architectural practice, and they had this vision for a sort of a newer contemporary style of, I'll call it a contemporary style, but it's like that, sort of younger, new age, sort of collaborative, early contractor involvement phase. And so they wanted to do that, and I had the knowledge of how traditional architecture process, and I suppose when I think about it, we sort of mashed those both together, and now we're actually striving the business forward in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I've been there for, I don't know, it must be like 3 or 4 years now, and sort of just rode the wave really, and just now I'm sort of leading the team of 6, and we've got some projects in Victoria, and statewide in Tassie. It's pretty small, so it doesn't take long to just do a project anywhere in Tassie pretty much.
Yeah. How early in the piece was it that you joined Align?
So it must be like my 3rd or 4th year, so not long.
So Align had only just kind of started out when you come on board? Yeah,
they'd been going for maybe 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, okay.
And I came in at maybe year 2 or 3 or something like that.
Yep.
Luke, who founded Align from Future Builders, and he also owns Davies Construction. he had the vision for the business for a long time. So he had started, I think Luke maybe it's talked in his podcast about this as well, but he had been trying to get this off the ground, and he'd tried it and then worked out that didn't work and tried another strategy. So he has been trying for a long time, but I think we've got the right people now in the right places to actually to launch it forward. So that's where it is. And like I said, it's just been a sort of snowballing, ride the wave, and just getting the best from everyone's skills. And there's still a lot to go, but we're making good progress in that realm of early contractor involvement and negotiating building contracts is what our strengths are. So that's sort of what sets us apart, I think.
Sax, we'll get into that definitely. Just probably to I suppose clarify something for listeners. So you're a registered architect, and an architect firm can't be an architect firm without a registered architect working on operating from that practice.
That's exactly right.
Otherwise, it's just basically a design firm with differences. So what's the specifics and the dynamics with Align? You've got 6 staff. Are you the only architect on board there?
No, so we've got 2 registered architects, and we've both come from the same firm where we trained, and both got registered, which is really good for the business because we both train the right way. We both know how we want documentation to be done and presented to builders and clients. We've thrashed out a lot of things that do work and don't work, so that's really beneficial. So we've got 2 registered architects, myself and another architect called Michael Bamford, and we're both in Hobart. And then we've got another 3 staff in the north of the state who have all studied their Masters of Architecture at university, and I suppose they're taking those steps towards getting full registration, hopefully in the near future.
Amazing.
So.
For over 130 years, Bowens has been the builder's choice, providing a service that provides timber, hardware and innovative building products.
And now we're helping you further with this wonderful partnership.
The family that have been here for generations, Bowens, has been powering the Australian building industry with family values, trusted service and the drive to make our industry better. They're helping us provide you the insights that matter. Build insight together with Bowens.
Real people,
real insights.
Oh, I was just going to say, who else is on the team, mate? So out of the 6, you got the 2 registered architects. Mitch is he wears a few hats and tries to keep the show in line. What's the rest of the team?
Yeah, so we've got May, who's a few years out of university. She's sort of heavily focused on interiors as well. A lot of people have this perception that architectural design's not, it's just building structure and that you have to hire an interior designer to do, but that's actually not the case. When you study architectural, design and go to university, you learn everything. So, but she is more weighted towards having a really good eye for interiors. We've got Jeremy, who's our certified passive designer. So he studied his Masters of Architecture, and he's also studies his passive house designer course as well. So he helps us out with all of the passive house and high performance knowledge. And then we've got Sarah in the team as well. She's part-time, again, studied Masters. She's been in the industry for a while, and she's got real strengths in taking like consultants' documentation, from structural engineers, implementing it into our models, doing the clash detections, making sure that's all work, and really like producing 3D modelling that just has all that laid information in one. So pretty broad team with each of their own skill sets.
Nice.
It's good.
We talk a lot with builders, obviously, with the technology changing, but it's the case for the design and architects as well. You're in an era where you guys are seeing such rapid change in AI. So what are some of the things that you're grasping in the business to improve?
It's hot discussion at the moment, isn't it? And it's very it's controversial discussion within the design industry. So you have to sort of tread light around how you implement it and what you can implement it for. So we've had obviously huge discussions in the business about what AI is going to do to the industry over, now and also over the next few years. It's going to really ramp up. And what I've come to the realisation is that I want to utilise AI, platforms as much as possible to clear all the clutter out of the business, administration tasks, emails, updates to clients, budget updates, all that stuff that I spend I'd probably say 50 to 60% of my time doing. And I want to clear that time away so I can focus more on design, so I can draw more, so I can make models more, so I can spend more time on site. And if I can clear that clutter and just focus on what I'm actually trying to do, which is, it's not drawing, it's actually problem solving. Yeah. And that's what I want to get on site more. I want to, model make and draw and sketch.
You want to get on the tools, mate.
Get on my tools, not be bogged down in what we call admin tasks. Admin, like, the word admin is like kind of starting to become frowned upon in our business. If someone hears the word, I'm doing admin, it's just like, whoa. You either get, the VA to do it or get AI to do it. Like, we don't want to hear the word admin anymore because we want to be designing. Like, that's what we want to be doing. Focus on getting a budget right for a client instead.
Definitely.
Yeah. Without reading into it too much, like, where do you see the side of, with AI, people... Like, I know there's a lot of the early days where people get their little 3D bloody floor plan builder or whatever apps that they can download, but do you see that there's going to be a bit of an overlap, or is it going to make your job harder to try and communicate with a client about utilising AI more to think that, they're going to come up with their own designs and things like that? Is that going to make your job a little bit trickier, you think?
It's the way I think of it is that, like, if you're wanting architectural services, you're going for that high-end, personable, unique, poetic piece of art, right, that you want to live in. Trying to compare that with someone who can think they can design their home and draw a floor plan up on some kind of AI platform is not even hand in hand. Like, it's a completely different kettle of fish. And
kind of pre-qualifies them, doesn't it? That they're not actually going to be the client for you if that's what they're coming to you, that they've already started with.
Exactly. I sometimes explain this to people that it's like, that demographic out there that they'll go to a local leather designer to have a bag made, right? And instead of like going to, a shop and buying a mass-produced, or they'll go and have a custom piece of artwork done for their wall. Architecture's in the same category as that.
Sure, yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get through to some of the industry, that don't just compare, like, drawing up a floor plan and having an architect draw up a floor plan as the same thing. This is something that's personal to them, that takes human emotion and like connection one-on-one or within a group of people. Like, and I think at the moment it is probably hard for any form of AI to replicate that experience. But the other thing I realised last week, we've got at the moment in Hobart, I'm just entering into construction documentation for hopefully what's going to be like Tasmania's first architectural design Passive House Plus project. It's in Hobart, and we had the Passive House designers, the Passive House certifier, the builder, and input from the structural engineer, plus, myself and another architect, all in this one meeting, working through thermal bridge calculations, then rolling onto how that affects aesthetics, how that affects construction and buildability, and the method that's put together. And I came out of that meeting, I was like, there was so much layering of people's experience and knowledge all in that one room feeding into the one design. I was like, how the hell is anyone at this stage going to replicate that with a computer? Okay, maybe that's something that, hypothetically, if we look into the future, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the track, maybe something's going to get to that point. But I was just sitting there going, like, this is what architecture's about. Like, everyone in the one room just coming together with this knowledge, this wealth of knowledge, and just we're hand drawing details and working out all this kind of stuff. It was awesome, and it was came at a good time because, like I said, it's hot discussion, and there's a lot of noise on the internet about AI, and you scroll into Instagram and see how Claude's going to take over the architecture profession, and you're just like, far out. But that's what I hope retains in the profession.
Well,
Circus Studio is Australia's leading interior design centre. If you're an architect, building designer, interior designer, builder, or just looking to build your dream home, you need to make a time and come in and check out the space here in Port Melbourne.
With everything from wall and ceiling linings, doors, architectural hardware, cladding and flooring.
This space holds every element that you'll possibly need to design your dream home.
I want to break that apart a little bit, what you just said there. So, you've obviously got collaboration with the whole team working through everything. And, let's say the old days now. We're in a new era, I feel. I know there's a bit of resistance from parts of the industry, architects and maybe some builders and clients thinking we can't be transparent. We've got to get tenders and so forth. But yeah, the old age is like architects are blamed for budget blowouts. Builders are blamed for not reading the plans properly or interpreting your design properly. And then it's this whole age-old architect versus builder mentality. But and from Align Architecture, your model is working collaboratively, get the best results. From what you've just said then, if you don't have everyone around that table, you guys are maybe missing out on the builder's involvement to get some of the detailing on how it's going to be built versus what that's going to cost. So from your side of things, mate, how do you see that unfolding?
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, especially I'm finding in Tassie at the moment. I do talk to a lot of people in the industry around the process that I'm trying to evolve and push. And just to be clear, like the process of early contractor involvement and negotiating a contract for a client from day one with one person, this is not reinventing the wheel. Like this process has been around for a long time. We have specific acumen notes in our architectural portal online that we all use that clearly shows how this process should be done. So that's the first thing. This is not new. We're not reinventing the wheel. But I think what the problem is that people are getting stuck in this mindset that you have to do the standard process of tendering and keeping the builder out of the picture until they're ready to competitively quote against 3 other people. But I can safely say that I've had the most success over the last 5 years doing, pretty much post-COVID was when I really got into the early contractor involvement. I've had the most success with residential construction doing that model than previously doing competitive quotations. I think what's important about it is we're all trying to achieve the same objective in the same goal, bringing a builder in early in the process. We're transparent about how much the client wants to spend. Sometimes they're a little bit shady, and that's okay, but we soon get them comfortable knowing that the builders that we want to work with are fully open book and transparent. So if we're fully open book and transparent, we can see all the costs associated with going into a project. Between myself, I've dabbled in the estimation industry slightly for 2 years, not much. Mitch has had a lot more experience. He was a general manager of a construction company and he was an estimator. So if we've got all the numbers out on the table, we've got everyone around here looking at them, we're soon going to be able to pick if there's any questions or concerns and we can have a discussion around them. If I'm working with a builder and trying to do that model and maybe they're not as transparent and open and honest, then it's not a two-way street, then it is going to become a little bit more challenging. But the builders that the clients usually want to work with that they bring forward are the builders that I know that are transparent. And it just seems to work. So we've built our process, our initial process of signing a client on to start that process is fully structured around that process, and that's sort of what we do. If we work in the commercial realm, then it's a different story. Tendering's a completely different. It's mandatory with certain governments and councils and things like that. So, but that's another story.
And I think take out budgets and everything. I mean, our model is that Luke's is the same. It's for us, but more than anything, building people's dream homes is so much about building a relationship before you do anything else. And it's no different. Like if a client out there picking their preferred architect, they've got to feel like they've got a blossoming relationship that everyone can work well together. I'd rather walk away from projects if I don't feel we've got that kind of vibe going with the right people. You're not always going to suit everybody out there. And
what I've noticed over the last probably 6 months is that builders, they don't want to have to deal with building contracts that involve variations. It's a pain in the ass for everyone. The clients don't want to have to deal with them. It's more money. The architect doesn't want to have to deal with them because they might have, made a discrepancy in documentation. The builder doesn't do it because it takes your time, right? So by doing a process where you're negotiating a contract from day one, the builder's best interest to get everything they need into the building contract so they can run, as close to a variation-free contract. Ideally, that's what the feedback I get. Obviously, there's going to be a few bits and bobs here if a client decides to change a tap or a finish. Maybe we run into some rock or we've got some unforeseen situation, but that's You know, like the last resi one we did using this process, it was an unserviced site. It had a value, you know, of 1.2, maybe 1.5 million. And they had 2 variations across the whole building contract. One was because they swapped out a light, and another one was because they swapped out something else. And other than that,
Good.
It's great.
Yeah.
that's like the client's stoked. They didn't have to fork it. And then if you compare that to tendering, you know, I'm not a builder, but my guess is, you know, if there's gaps, you know, you probably just leave them out because you're trying to get your price down as low as possible so you can win it, and then you deal with the variations. That's one scenario. You might be a fully honest and transparent and an authentic person and just include everything, but then you bloody lose the job.
You lose the job.
It's like, where do you sit? I've seen both scenarios,
100%.
and the only reason I can comment on this is because I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
I'm not like making this stuff up. Like when I was doing estimation, like I got fed some of my own medicine.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'd been sending tenders out prior to working in the estimation role, and then when I was in that, I was receiving, you know, requests for quotes from architects in my community, and then being dished out like, you know, surprises. So I was just like, oh, I came out of that and I was just like, I don't think I want to do that process anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I want to move to a different process. It kind of like scarred me a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny, like knowing a couple of you know, architects and designers in the past who now are working that early contractor involvement model, pre-construction process, however you want to word it, it all came about from their side of things because of like a bad experience, like letting someone down and, you know, their dream almost crushed before they could get to building with a builder or get to that stage.
Yeah.
So they, you know, it's positive to see. Obviously, they're the ones who care enough to go about some change. And as you said, Zax, it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. It's all there in the literature and
It is,
you know, contract laws. So which is very positive.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of part 1 with Saxon Hall from Align Architecture. Join us next week for part 2. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you want to find out more about Build Insight, head over to the website buildinsite.com.au. Over on the website, you'll find links to previous podcast episodes as well as our YouTube channel, Instagram and Facebook. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.
Well, that's a wrap for another week's episode of the Build Insight podcast. Before we leave, just want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors for their ongoing support. Without their help, Build Insight wouldn't be what it is today.
Let's cue the disclaimer. I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insight team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insight podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience and is of a general nature only. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.